August 19th, 2025. The time is 6:01. I'm calling the meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ackery.
Here.
Commissioner Downing.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Tebby.
Here.
Mayor Washington.
Here.
We have our quorum and are duly qualified to conduct business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I don't believe there's any presentations. Seeing none, we'll move to the next order of business. City Manager, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Washington. I am thrilled to be here. It's been a great 24 plus hours, and it's nice to get a little bit of a hang of what's going on. I really had only two things to report today. The first one, obviously, we're in tax rate setting season, so you're going to be seeing that in September. We will be recommending a tax rate that obviously accommodates what the budget that was approved. And the second thing you'll see is a recommendation from us to just move some of the deadlines in our ordinance for sending the tax bills out and then for residents to pay those tax bills. We just have a very aggressive schedule on that, and it makes sense for us to look at that a little bit broadly and give people a little bit more time. So if you have any concerns or questions about that in the meantime, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay.
The only other thing I wanted to also say is just a huge thank you to Keith Bales, who stepped in as interim. And sometimes I think we all know how difficult it is to step into an interim position, but Keith has been amazing helping me out transition into this role, and I just wanted to thank him from all of us for what he's done for the city the last couple of weeks.
Thank you. We echo your sentiments. Items for consideration, some housekeeping we'd like to do. Under the Human Resources Department, let's add a number 3B, and also Item 11, Chief Dye is going to be addressing us, reference the hiring of a firefighter. Without objection, Director Lewis.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I have three items for your consideration this evening. The first is an order approving the hire of Andrew Bettinghouse as Finance Technician effective August 27th.
Any questions, objections? Consent.
The second is an order approving the hire of Brianna Schweitzer as Business Administrator in the Public Works Department, and this will be effective August 27th.
Any questions, objections, consent?
And my last item, which is actually now two, there are two new hires in the Human Resources Department. The first is an order approving the hire of Katie Cardis as Personnel Specialist effective September 2nd.
Any questions, objections, consent?
And lastly, an order approving the hire of Jody Comstock as Personnel Specialist effective September 2nd.
Any questions, objections, consent?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director. Public Works Department, Mr. Public Works Director, whatever. Mattioli. I'm looking at Mattioli's name, and here you come. So, yeah, Keith, come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight, Public Works has two agenda items. The first is a request for an extension of Adlita's contract for the Madison Avenue Streetscape project for an extension of 180 days. It's important to understand that Adlita has followed through, and they continue to manage the subs and the utility companies that are working to get the wires buried and then eventually the poles down. So it's been a bit of a hold-up, but it's not the fault of the construction contractor.
Questions, Vice Mayor?
Just a couple questions. I know that we originally contracted to do some of this work back in late 2023, and I'm getting the same questions for agenda item 4 and 5, and you kind of alluded to it, but what is the holdup, and if you can just elaborate on that so that the public understands why we're doing so many amendments to this contract, that would be helpful.
Basically, the communications companies have to bury their fiber ops in the new conduit, replace it from the structures, get them off the poles. So we had Alta Fiber first, was a bit of a holdup. Now they are completed. Now Spectrum has to complete their work. There is a junction box that they now have to install that they were not aware of earlier on in the plans. Seco Electric is actually helping to tie in the old and the new electric, and then when they're all completed and in the conduit, Duke will remove the poles and Adlita will patch where the poles were. They'll replace the current poles with string poles, and then the project will be completed. This is not atypical. The 6th Street streetscape was like this. Contractors were done within a year, and it dragged on another year or so for the typically the communications companies to finish their work.
Sure. And just, if I may, are there any, and these are just general questions that we often get from the public, are there any monetary implications for the delay to the city?
We don't believe so, because it's out of the realm of the construction company. It's not anything that they have control over.
Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any other questions on that item? Without objection, consent.
Similarly, the next item is a request to extend Adlita's contract for the 7th Street streetscape project for an extension of 180 days. Incidentally, a lot of this work is projected to be completed in the next 30 days, but again, you never know, and then we're moving into hurricane season. Perished the thought, but Duke would take all their staff out of town if something would occur, a disaster. So 180 days should give us plenty of time to get it completed.
Any questions? Objections? Consent.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What's happening here?
Economic Development Department. Patrick.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. First item I'm going to talk about tonight is the Adams Law Job Development Incentive. So just a little history about Adams Law. Founded in 1895, full-service law firm with a presence in Covington for about 130 years. Tonight we are joined by Corey Gamm, who's a member of Adams Law. They are located at 40 West Pike Street, and they considered relocating due to the cost and renovation of their lease renewal. Something to keep in mind is that the average salary is approximately $98,970. So this is a very high-paying job that they have there. Staff recommends a job development incentive, and actually this is slightly different because it's a business retention incentive. What that means is they are retaining 38 jobs and creating 15 new jobs over the next 5 years. They will be they will be reimbursed 0.75% of their existing payroll for those 38 jobs, and any new jobs created is 1% rebate of that newly created payroll tax. They are having a 6-year incentive period followed by a 6-year retention period. Staff recommends approval of this job development incentive.
Commissioner Smith?
Just a couple questions. One, I love this because I know that we have a lot of incentives for new business, but I love the retention incentives that we're doing now. I'm also a big fan of Corey back there. I've worked across from him before, and I'm a fan of Adams Law. But just for just my own, clarification, for these sorts of opportunities that aren't for new businesses but for existing businesses that need support, how do they connect with us for these sorts of opportunities?
Well, first they have to have a minimum amount of payroll, and then I would just recommend contacting me or someone in the Economic Development Department. We need to go over several things like we did with Adams Law. We discussed how many jobs are they looking to add. In this case, the relocation to Newport, along with several other points, kind of factored in that as well.
Sure.
And of course, the job quality, that was something important, something we want to keep in Covington. So really, it's case-by-case basis. I would recommend just contacting the Economic Development Department, myself, or John Sadowski, or Tom.
Awesome. I love it, and I don't normally see the retention sort of piece advertised, so I'm very appreciative of this. Thank you.
Any other questions, Patrick? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
So the next thing I'm going to present is Covington Works. This is a workforce development program. Basically, the Covington Works grant agreement, the contracting party is Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board, as well as the Northern Kentucky Area Development District. We actually have Todd Kuiper here with us tonight. I believe he's the program administrator there. Just a little bit about this workforce initiative. The services include transportation, which is a transportation for Covington residents working at Covington businesses. A portion of that is the Build Ed scholarships. That's a program focused on career readiness. And wage subsidies for on-the-job training. On-the-job training is a big portion of workforce development. And the last thing is staff, admin, materials, and supplies. The grant agreement is for $150,000, which was previously budgeted. And the length of the contract, September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2026. Staff recommends approval of this program.
Any questions? Without objection, consent. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Continuing on with economic development. Assistant Director Sadowski.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This item is an order authorizing the execution of an industrial revenue bond order and the related documents for the steel yard project. I just want to recognize, I want to recognize Jim Parson, who's with K&K, represents Orleans Development on this project. As you recall, back in April of this year, the Board of Commissioners approved an industrial revenue bond for this 39-unit apartment building. It was approximately $7 million total project cost. They approved a pilot in the form of it was a ramp-up of a pilot, so 20% pilot, 40%, 60%, and then 80% across 20 years. What the order does now is it allows the mayor to execute all the related documents, to issue the bonds, the subsequent lease agreement, and all other necessary documents that are required for the financial closing. Just a little bit of update on where the developer is at with this project. The building permit has been approved, and they're looking to close on their construction financing in September. So, any questions that you may have?
Any questions? Seeing none, without objection, consent.
Okay. Next item is an order authorizing the mayor to execute a bond resolution order and a pilot agreement for the Bavarian project. I just want to recognize the Belvin team behind this exciting project. We have Shad Sletto with Maris, Jeremy Fogel with Urban Sites, and Patrick Hughes with DBL. So this is the same development team that did the Hayden over at 303 Court Street. The project itself is a 125-unit apartment building atop the new county garage over on MLK. It's a total project cost of $27 million, and they submitted an industrial revenue bond application to our department to help offset the high cost of construction and labor. And so we negotiated, we underwrote the project, and before you is a pilot structure of 30% for the first 10 years, followed by 50% for the next 5, and then an 80% pilot for the remaining 5. The pilot agreement is currently being considered by the school board. They will have a meeting on it on August 28th. And our project obviously is contingent on all of the parties within the pilot agreement approving this. So that's the school board and, of course, the county. The county is very much behind this, and I think they've already gotten the approval for this project. So I know I kind of ran through that a little quickly, but you got some of the facts up on the screen there, the project location. It's going to be, all the parking structure itself is going to be hidden. so you won't be able to really see it from MLK, which is something that we're really excited about. The next slide is a little more information about the public benefits and another rendering. Now, field any questions you may have.
Vice Mayor?
I'm full of questions today. You're welcome.
It's all right.
So sometimes we come up here and we have these sorts of projects and we say pilot agreements, and before I became a commissioner, I wasn't quite sure what it meant or what the benefits were. And I think it's really important for the public to understand what the benefits are and what we're doing. And I apologize, normally I would prepare you that I'm asking this question, but generally, can you just speak to what a pilot agreement is and how it does benefit the city in this particular circumstance?
Absolutely. So when we say pilot, we're talking about payment in lieu of taxes. And so this is the industrial revenue bond is really the legal mechanism in which we're able to provide property tax abatement, property tax relief to incentivize certain projects. So in a nutshell, it's a savings on property taxes. It helps to get them to an appropriate return for their investments. It also helps entice new development. So right now in that parcel, there's nothing there right now, and this is going to, while we are taking a present reduction in property taxes in the short term. In the long term, it gets this thing built. And then after 20 years, when that burns off, the public will be getting the full tax benefit. So when I say a 20% pilot for the first 10 years, it means they're paying 20% of what they normally would have in property taxes. And they have agreements with the school board, the city, and the county to make sure that those taxing jurisdictions get reimbursed.
Okay, so essentially what you're sharing is that it is a net benefit to the city over just a little bit longer period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Okay.
we try to structure these to where it kind of ramps up back to the full 100% rather than stay stagnant throughout the entire 20 years.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Downing?
I've got a couple of questions. First being, do we know what the average anticipated rents are going to be?
Yeah, so the average is $2.20 a square foot. Just to give you some context, in the downtown, towards the riverfront, when we're looking at the Hayden or John R. Green, those are in the $2.50 a square foot range. In terms of what those rents translate to in terms of average median income, 70% of the units are going to be targeted at folks making 100% of the area median income, which in our metropolitan area is $73,000 a year for one person or $84,000 a year for a two-person household. So that's 70% of the units are going to be targeting that.
So just for clarity, we're targeting the median and not the average,
Correct. That's it. Yeah, average median income.
because the average is lower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Help me. Actually, I've got a couple questions, but I'm going to hold off and ask this to be put on the regular.
Any other questions for Mr. Sadowski? Mr. Sadowski, this property, it was not really tax producing, is that correct?
That's right.
So when we give a tax abatement on this property, we realize that it was not producing any income. And is it also safe to say, to make the numbers work, that the economic development staff studies the numbers that are given to the developer, given by the developer, to make sure that it makes sense to give the tax abatement? Because if the tax abatement's not given, then the project may not go through. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
So that's what we weigh it by. Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to add that there's also other community benefits. The Catalytic Fund did a study on this, and they're estimating that $1.4 million in annual local spending will be generated because of these new housing units right there. That will be money spent on local businesses, shops, services, etc.
Commissioner Smith, and then
I was just going to say, I think I know the information that you just shared is what folks want to hear. So thank you. That was all I was going to say.
what's the amount of tax revenue that we will not be able to collect because of this?
So the city pilot up there, that represents over 20 years, the amount that we're going to be getting. So I don't have the calculation in front of me, but on average over those 20 years, you could say roughly we're abating like around 50%. So the amount that we would have collected is likely to be, approximately double that number.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then the school pilot's up there as well. That's how much they're getting over 20 years.
Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Sadowski? Regular. Caitlin. One second. Sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Staff is requesting a text amendment to the Neighborhood Development Code to add a new use, which will be called a recovery residence, and it will be permitted within the TUR, TUMU, RR, SR, SU, DTC, and AUC districts. The sober living home and sober living facility uses will be removed from all sections and definitions of the NDC. And that is just because some state laws were updated recently, and we are updating our ordinance to match the state laws.
Believe it or not, it's going to be Vice Mayor Smith.
I'm on a roll. That was really my only question, was just to understand the change. So you're just saying that we're just complying with the change at the state level, so we're doing it at a local level. That's why we're making this change.
Yes, we want our definitions to match the state definitions, so when people come through and apply for these permits and licenses, that it's cohesive.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. No other questions? Okay, without objection, consent? Consent it is. Thank you. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to walk this on. It's a order to accept the hiring of a Grade 1 firefighter, William Smith, effective August 27th. I do ask you if you would put it on the regular agenda. Hiring is going to be pending some final testing at the end of this week, beginning of next week.
Could we just put it on consent, and then if it doesn't work, report?
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
Sure. Consent it is.
Sounds good?
Consent. Wait a
About
second.
efficiency. Makes sense.
Commissioner Ackery?
Chief, I know we approved 12 firefighters. I just want to clarify that we're potentially hiring William Smith because of a resignation.
That is correct. I had a resignation yesterday, going to a different department in Ohio.
Thank you.
So it'll be replace that spot. I'm just trying to, this gentleman will miss 2 days of recruit class. I'm just trying to get him in recruit class as early as possible.
Vice Mayor?
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay, without objection, consent. Thank you, Chief. All right. Sure got everything here. Commission discussion items. Commissioner Downing.
Over this past weekend, Covington was in the news again, this time as it relates to parking enforcement and the parking authority. There are two things that came out of that. We had the executive director of the parking authority provided some quotes, and I wanted to first make sure that we've got clear communication between the parking authority, our police force, and our comms department to make sure that they are all kind of synced up because it appeared that there was some confusion there. And then similarly, with that, whenever we've got any staffers or folks that are representing the city in this particular case, that our comms team informs the city commission so that way we can get a heads up, because routinely when the city ends up in the news, we'll start getting questions from residents, and we want to make sure that we have the adequate time to prepare around the specific issue that's being brought up. So if you could look into both of those issues and just let us know kind of those thoughts. And then if you could also talk with Kyle, I'd like to have the commission briefed on some of the changes that were outlined within that article. The parking authority has made some changes to the way that enforcement's being done, and I think that it would be prudent to have the city commission briefed on what those changes were, just that way we have that awareness.
Any other comments or any other discussion items? For the record, that's Kyle Snyder. He's the Executive Director of the Motor Vehicle Parking Authority. Okay, seeing Commissioner's comments. Seeing no Commissioner comments, Mayor's comments, my comment is Keith Bales, thank you very much for your service as interim city manager. We appreciate you. You've been a steady hand the last few weeks. It hasn't gone unnoticed. So thank you very much, sir. With that, can I have a motion for the commission to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810, Section 1, subsection C as in Charlie, for the purpose of discussing proposed litigation on behalf of the city?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Downing, second by Vice Mayor Smith. Discussion. Any objection? Motion carries. We are going into this executive session. We'll take a recess, and upon conclusion of executive session, we will come back into regular session and continue with this caucus meeting. Senior staff, you may want to get with the manager to see if you need to stay around. I believe it's going to be no.